Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the distinguished guests. As you know, my name is Edward Mosberg. I would like to say something that we talk about happening on the Ukraine. I feel sorry for those people that are being murdered. But we cannot compare that to the Holocaust. Holocaust was something completely different. I feel sorry for those people, but that's all what I can say. Never compare this to Holocaust. I am a Holocaust survivor. Unfortunately, all the members of my family were murdered by the Germans during the Holocaust. My grandparents, uncle, aunts, and cousin were all murdered by the Germans in Belzec extermination camp. My mother was murdered by the Germans in crematorium number 5 in Auschwitz. My two sisters were murdered by the Germans in Stuttgart concentration camp. Those camps, as well as all other concentration camps and extermination camps in Poland, were built by the German and Polish soil. In addition, it is important to know Jews were not the only one murdered at the concentration camp, but anyone, regardless of religion or race, who was against the Nazi Party was killed. Now it is the 77th anniversary of when my mother, Bronisława Berta Mosberg, was murdered. Prior to that day, I met my mother at the assembly place in Plaszów, and I gave her a piece of a meat. I put into her mouth, but she spit it out. Spit it out. And she said, I cannot swallow this meat because it is treife, not kosher. And I will not swallow it in memory of her father. The next day she was taken to Auschwitz, where she was murdered at the crematorium number 5. The concentration camp, along with all others, one in Poland, was built by Germans on Polish soil. We should remember there were no Polish concentration camp or Polish extermination camp. The world should know about the cruelty and atrocity committed by the Germans at those horrific places, that they murdered 6 million Jews and millions of others and those concentration camps and extermination camps. Since the Germans built those camps on Polish soil, they should pay for the maintenance of those concentration camps and extermination camp in Poland, so that the world will never forget about what happened during the Holocaust. I will never forget or forgive the murder of my mother and the rest of my family and the 6 million Jews and the millions of others who were murdered by the Germans during the Holocaust. How can I forget or forgive the barbaric murder of my family in the Gestapo of Auschwitz, Birkenau, Majdanek, or Treblinka? To forget or forgive would mean to kill the victim the second time. We could not prevent their first death. We must not allow them to be killed again. We have no right to forgive. Only the dead can forgive. What happened? This? As long as I live, it is my obligation and duty to tell about the atrocities that were committed on my family and the 6 million Jews. I want to tell you about my wife. I met Cecile in December 1942 in Wieliczka. A group of people was brought to Wieliczka from Kraków ghetto to cleaning after the Jews who lived there and were sent to Belzec extermination camp. Cecile and I were in that group to do the cleaning. When the job was finished in Wieliczka, we were brought back to Kraków ghetto. In the ghetto, I sometimes saw Cecile on the street, and then later in the concentration camp Plaszow. You see, he opens it. I don't know if you can see it. This is a picture that she gave me in 1942, in December 1942. Okay. And I kept those pictures with some other pictures through all the concentration camp. What is While we were in Wieliczka, people were sending pictures, one of another, and Cecile gave me the picture of herself. In 1945, when we were liberated, I was assigned to live in a museum of Hitler's parents in the town called Leonding in Austria. I went back to Mauthausen to look for my family, and I found Cecile. She was laying on the floor in the barrack because she was sick with a typhoid fever. She had known my sister, so I asked her if my sister were there, and she told me they were not. Before I left the barrack, I lifted Cecile up and put her outside through the window so that she could get a fresh air. I then left and went back where I was living. What is it? Then somebody said that there were some survivors from Krakow living in Hanover, Germany. Cecile and other people want to go there, but they were afraid to travel such a distance. I took some people, including Cecile, to Hanover to look for family members. No one was able to find any family members, so we went back to the farmhouse in town of Hart. A while after, Cecile and some other people went to Krakow, Poland. Cecile found her father, who survived Buchenwald concentration camp. I then decided also go to Krakow, Poland, to look for my two sisters, because I already knew that the rest of my family were murdered by the Germans. Once again, I found Cecile there walking on the street. While I was walking on the street with Cecile, we met a woman and approached her and asked her where she was liberated from. Her answer was Stutthof concentration camp. She told me that my two sisters and my wife's one sister were murdered at Stutthof. One day the Germans lined up 7,000 people and then shot him with a machine gun. The next day was liberation. I knew now my search for my sister was over. At that time, I was sick with tuberculosis of lungs and bones. I decided to go to a doctor, and Cecile came with me. The doctor said that I only had a few months to live because there was no medication to cure the illness. It was at that time when I realized that Cecile was interested in me, because she went with me to the doctor and tried to encourage me to go to Italy to try to get cured there. So in 1946, I went to Italy to several hospitals in the summer. In the summer of 1947, I got clean bill of health from the doctor, as the tuberculosis disappeared, and I went back to Krakow, Poland. Cecile was waiting there for me, and that is when I realized that I was interested in her. Cecile and her father decided they want to go to Belgium because they did not want to stay in the communist country. Since I had no one in Poland and I had a passport, I decided to go with them to Belgium. Cecile and I got married on October 26, 1947 in Belgium. And our first daughter was born there. We waited for 18 months until we got our visa to go to the United States. On December 51, we arrived in New York. I was a very rich man at that time. I had my wife, my daughter, and $10 in my pocket. Immediately after it, I started searching for a job because I did not want my wife to work. Her job was to raise the children. In 2019, I received the Commander's Cross of Order of Merit from the Republic of Poland, awarded in honor to the Polish President Duda. I was awarded this honor for helping to establish better relations between the Jewish people and Polish people. I was honored to get this, and I did not expect something like this to happen. What? 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 I can hear you. Thank you for listening to me. And I just want you to know about the President Duda. I talked him in to come into this March of Living. He is a president who is a friend of the Jewish people. He can stand the anti-Semitism, and he gave me that medal in honor that I help keep the good relations between Poles and the Jewish people. I want to thank you once more, and God bless you all. Thank you. And okay.